I want you to think about all the best qualities in an everyday carry knife. How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And you got it? You got those qualities? Let me know what they are in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, if you could do the secret like button handshake, just for me. It's free and it helps a lot. I would definitely appreciate it. Today, we're talking about a knife that has not been released as of the release of this video. You see, I find myself in privileged territory because I get to check out the Devo Knives Pony Stout. And if it looks familiar, it's because the bigger brother, the more primo model, wasn't released that long ago. The regular stout. And now we're on the cusp of releasing the Pony Stout. And I say we, but really I mean Devo Knives, which is Lefty.edc and Colin Mason Pierre. And I think I'm saying his last name correctly. If I'm not, I'll take that. However, this came to me by way of Puerto Rican with a Knife, another great EDC channel, and from him to Lefty.edc, who is the other half of Devo Knives. Because I reached out and I said, listen, man, I would love to check this out. I'd love to interview you about this. Turns out he's got a crazy schedule, but he did find a way to get one of these in my hands. And so now that it's here, let's talk about it. I didn't get a chance to check out the regular stout. They came out, they sold out, and I didn't get one. But now I have an opportunity to talk about the Pony Stout and see if it really does make a good EDC knife. Let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about the Devo Knives Pony Stout. And if this knife does look familiar, it's because the regular stout, the OG stout, came out not too terribly long ago, and it was massively popular. By the way, shout out to Lefty.edc for making sure that my name got put on the list to be able to borrow this knife, because this has not been released yet. The Pony Stout will be released here in the next couple of months. I believe the release date is May. And if you liked the regular OG stout and you missed out, and you want to get your hands on one that's less expensive but still really good, keep your eye out in May, because that's when they are supposed to be dropping. So the first question that most people might have would be, well, what's the difference between the Pony Stout and the OG Stout? Well, this one is quite a bit shorter and lighter, and it has G10 handle scales or micarta. Sounds like you will have a choice. And then, of course, the blade stock is thinner. Now, word on the street is that you will still get the crowned spine, and I say that because this is, in fact, a prototype. This is not the production model. As far as what's going to change, I don't think anything's going to change. I do think that this is what it's going to look like when it's completely, fully released. So shorter, thinner blade stock, because apparently the very first model had a thick, chunky blade stock, and Kev over at Lefty.edc told me that they wanted to make it slicier. Now, this blade shape is fantastic. I love the fact that it doesn't conform to blade shape rules. I don't know what you would call this. Is it a harpoon, sheep's foot, Warncliffe? Nobody knows. You know, it's a modified whatever you want. I just know that this blade shape is going to be really good for utility cuts, for EDC purposes. The slicing is good on it, and the ergos. So these scales are slightly rounded, slightly chamfered, and it's made by QSP. QSP is the OEM, and they did a fantastic job, by the way. The pocket clip is a wire clip, and it's okay. You might already know this about me, but I'm not a huge fan of wire clips. That's okay. If you're like me and you don't like wire clips, you can, of course, get a Rips Garage Tech wire clip replacement that is actually a 3D milled titanium clip that will fit in that slot. And if you're a lefty, you can flip that clip to the other side as well. Up here near the tang of the blade, you do get a very modest finger cutout, but it allows you to choke up. Now, there is no jimping, and you know, there's no jimping because they didn't feel like it was needed. I don't really see what the big deal is. Personally, I would have actually, instead of putting the jimping there, put the jimping right here on that swell, because this knife is perfect for putting your thumb right there on the spine of the blade. Now, you can already do that, and because the spine is crowned, it does feel good. It's a tiny bit slippery, but it's not bad at all. You do get a nice purchase there, a full purchase, as Puerto Rican with a knife would say, full purchase, no refund, full purchase, no refund. And by the way, guys, if you haven't checked out Puerto Rican with a knife, make sure you check out his channel. He does some great stuff over there. I really like the ergonomics. Despite the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the pocket clip shape, it does not get in the way of the ergos at all. Do I feel it? Actually, no. This is one of the better wire clips that I've held in my hand. And so at least if I don't like the way that it looks, I know that I'm not going to worry about it when it's in my hand because I just don't feel it. The slight chamfering on those handle skills allows for really good ergonomics. It's very solid ergonomics in the hand. And I like the fact that you have your choice of kind of this alignment between your thumb and your forefinger right here. And because the spine of the blade does slope upwards, it does help you lock in it a little bit better. Is it as good as if there had been jimping there? No. But, you know, it's good enough. It is, in fact, a liner lock, and that liner lock is locking up at what I would consider to be about 30%. Now, that's just my estimation. Could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less. In a reverse grip, can you reverse grip? Absolutely. You can switch up the grip. I don't know why you would. I'm like, the reverse grip is like a stabby grip, right?
Super stabby. Stab, 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 stab.
But the blade shape is not super stabby. This is quite obviously meant to be more of a EDC utilitarian type knife. You know, cut open your boxes, break down your boxes, open letters, you know, maybe do some controlled cuts here or there. I mean, it is what it is. As far as the grind goes, this is a hollow grind, and it's nice and slicey. And I don't believe that you would have too much issue sharpening this. The plunge is far enough away from that very back part of the edge where I don't think it's going to create too much of a smile. I mean, it might create a little bit, but you're going to get a decent amount of life out of that blade. So that's a good thing. Ultimately, if when these come out, I do think that I'm going to get one. The blade steel, by the way, 14C28N. And did I mention that you're going to be able to get these in micarta? I think that would be my choice, would be micarta. I hope that they do a denim blue micarta, because I would take that and I would run with it. I would love to get one in micarta. I like the finish on the blade. This black coating is nice. It's kind of a semi-gloss. It's not too aggressive. Will it show fingerprints? Yeah, but not too terribly bad, if that's the kind of thing that you care about. And for those of you that like lanyards, well, that's just too damn bad, because there is no lanyard hole on this knife. So if lanyards are your thing, sorry, he wasn't thinking about you guys. You will be getting this backspacer. Do I know what material it is? No. I'm hesitant to say that it's titanium, because I don't think that it is, but I also don't think, well, I mean, maybe it's G10. It doesn't feel like G10, but you also get a backspacer right there. I would have liked to have seen that backspacer creep up just a little bit farther to protect more of that blade from, you know, coins and keys and junk in your pockets when it's in the closed position. Speaking of the closed position, let's go ahead and talk about the centering. The centering is perfect, and I would expect no less with QSP as the manufacturer. It is a single-sided captive pivot, and it looks like it is going to be T8 hardware all around. Sweet. and it is running on ceramic bearings, which are very smooth. There is no gritty feeling with those whatsoever. Will it drop shut? No, you have to give it a little bit of a suggestion to do that, but it's not much, and the action feels really good. The D10 on here is nice and snappy. It's going to be really hard to fail and really easy to manipulate. Much like the Tempest Knives pinion, this is a dedicated deployment hole. There's no flipper tab, there's no front flipper, there's no thumb stud, because instead you get this deployment hole, and it's going to work really good for thumb flicks and even better for reverse flicks. It is quite fidgety in that aspect, and my rule of thumb, no pun intended, is that if you have only one single deployment option, it's got to be good. And in this case, it definitely was. So no complaints there. The final price on this is going to be, to my understanding, somewhere in the $80 price range. I could be wrong, but I believe I did see these on White Mountain Knives Coming Soon page. And I believe that these were under the $100 price point. For under $100, this is going to be a really, really good knife. I'm excited for it. The $80 price point is awesome to be able to get 14C and micarta, or if G10's your flavor, you can get that too. To get one that also has a backspacer, reversible pocket clip, ceramic ball bearings, and a single-sided captive pivot, I think that's phenomenal. Other highlights on here is that you'll notice there is no, at least on these, there is no billboarding on the blade. The blade is kind of a natural look to it. There is no extra text that shouldn't be there. I'm not even seeing a blade steel text, and honestly, I would have actually suggested putting that blade steel text somewhere. Although if you're buying the knife, you should probably know what steel it has, and they'll list that on the website. 14C, great steel. I really like this minimalistic aesthetic. I feel like it looks good. It feels good. The blade is nice and thin, especially with that hollow grind, so it's going to be very slicey as well. That edge feels good. How good is it? I don't know. Let me know if I should do a cut test once we get to the knife ranking. But other than that, guys, I'm curious. When these land in May, are you going to pick one up? Are you going to try to be there? Devo Knives has been selling out lately when they drop a knife. So I'm curious, who's going to try to get in on this one? If you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, boo-hoo, you know what to do. And if you want to see more knife content just like this, make sure you hit subscribe. I'm Rollshambo. I'll catch you on the flip side.